Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Grow and Glow, where stories don't just motivate you, they help you understand life itself. Let me ask you something. Why do we suffer? Is it because of problems or because of how tightly we hold them? You see, most pain in life doesn't come from what happens, but from what we refuse to let go of. And today's story will show you that every problem in life has a simple solution, if your mind is quiet enough to see it. The story, the monk and the river stone. There was once a monk who lived by a peaceful river. Every morning he would meditate at the water's edge, watching the sunrise reflect like gold across the waves. One day, a young man came to him, his face filled with frustration. "Master, my life is falling apart," he said. "Every time I solve one problem, another appears. I'm drowning in worries." The monk listened silently, then picked up a smooth stone from the riverbank and handed it to the young man. "Hold this stone tightly," he said. The young man did as he was told. At first, it was easy, but after a few minutes, his hand began to ache. "Master, it hurts," he said. The monk smiled gently. "Then why don't you put it down?" The young man blinked. "Because you told me to hold it." The monk nodded. "Yes, and that is exactly what you do with your problems. You pick them up and forget you can put them down." The river lesson. The monk then walked to the river and said, "Do you see this water? It flows because it doesn't resist. When a rock falls, it moves around it. When a leaf drops, it carries it away. That is why the river is at peace. It never argues with life." He paused, watching the ripples spread in the morning light. "But humans," he continued softly, "we hold on to everything. Anger, regret, fear, and then wonder why our hearts feel heavy." The young man asked quietly, "So, how do I stop suffering?" The monk smiled. "By realizing that not every knot must be untied. Some can simply be released." The turning point. Days passed. The young man stayed by the river, learning to sit in silence beside the monk. At first, his thoughts screamed. Memories, worries, endless what-ifs. But slowly, as the days turned into weeks, his mind began to quiet. One morning, he noticed something he had never seen before. The sound of water against the rocks, the warmth of sunlight on his skin, the peace that had always been there. He had just been too noisy inside to feel it. He smiled and whispered, "The river was never the problem. It was my resistance to its flow." And that day, he threw the stone he had been carrying back into the river, not as a gesture, but as an understanding. Life is not as complicated as our minds make it. Most problems are not mountains. They're pebbles we refuse to drop. You cannot stop the wind, but you can learn to sail. You cannot calm the storm, but you can calm yourself. When you stop trying to control everything, you start to see that peace was never far. It was simply waiting for your surrender. Years later, the young man became a teacher himself. When people came to him in tears, he never gave advice. He simply handed them a smooth river stone and said, "Hold it for a while. Then, when it starts to hurt, put it down." They would always smile through their tears because somehow they understood. And the young man would look at the flowing water and whisper to himself, "Every problem in life has a simple solution, but only a quiet heart can see it." Thank you for listening to this story on Grow and Glow. If this story reminded you to pause, breathe, and release what you're holding, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs peace today. And don't forget to subscribe to Grow and Glow for more mindful, life-changing stories every week. Because when you stop holding on, you don't just grow, you glow.